So Eric Koger, no worries. I'm going to tell you all a little bit about how ModCloth has gone from a very niche-focused lifestyle retailer to a business doing well over $100 million in revenue, following a process that we like to think of as a marriage of art and science. So since the majority of you are not in ModCloth's target customer base, I thought I'd start with the very basics. So we're an online-only retailer of women's fashion and decor, focused on women in their 20s and 30s. We're known for our broad selection of remarkable fashion that we source from independent designers from around the world. We're also known for using unconventional models, as you can see here. We are well known for our dresses. We have a very large selection of cute dresses. And we're building a very warm, welcoming brand that's inclusive, and we try to bring as much of our assortment as possible in a full range of sizes. We've raised over $48 million in capital from top-tier venture firms. We did over $100 million in revenue in 2012, which was the last year that we reported our numbers. That year we did well over 40% in year-over-year growth, and we've been growing rapidly ever since. We have over 500 employees across 3 locations: our headquarters up north in San Francisco, our hometown, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and a merchandising operation based out of Los Angeles. In 2013, at any given point in time, we had over 7,500 styles available for sale on the site from over 1,200 designers. And we had 370 designs available from our own private label line. We shipped over 1.6 million orders. And on our peak day, we shipped over 16,000 orders from our pick, pack, and ship fulfillment center based out of Pittsburgh, which you can see here. ModCloth is a very complex business. The scope and immensity of it is surprising to most people. We have a very broad diversity of roles in the business, from the people running our picking and packing there in Pittsburgh, our customer care team, the creative team that produces all of our brilliant creative marketing, engineering, product management, really complex business intelligence, core functions like merchandising, marketing, and finance. So it's incredibly broad across those 500 people. But but that complexity and scale is a relatively recent development, so let me take you back to the beginning. We started ModCloth back in 2002. My then-girlfriend, now wife Susan, who's the creative officer of ModCloth, stumbled upon a huge collection of one-of-a-kind vintage pieces in the thrift stores and garage sales of South Florida as we were preparing to go north to Carnegie Mellon University for college. All the retirees from the Northeast come down to South Florida and unload, and she found all these amazing winterwear pieces, started selling them on eBay, and I was running my first business, which was a web design and hosting business, so I offered to help her build a website, which was the genesis of ModCloth. You can see the first closet of inventory there in our first logo. One of the big lessons of scaling is hiring people who complement your skills, so a graphic designer was one of our first hires. You can see the very second iteration of the website there that Susan and I built. And in the top right is Susan standing behind our first arrival of actual inventory from an independent designer. So it took us about 6 years to get to $1 million in revenue and 4 to get to 100. And we've been growing since, and I'll tell you a little bit more about how we made that journey. So we started with one-of-a-kind vintage items. And it was clear that the demand for the aesthetic that Susan was building was significantly larger than her supply of one piece at a time that she was able to source from thrift stores and estate sales. So she and I literally got on the phone, talked to customers, pretty quickly figured out that they didn't really care that the items were one of a kind. They were just interested in the overall aesthetic. So we went out in the marketplace and started sourcing vintage-inspired pieces, so retro pieces from modern designers, in inventory that we could replenish and scale, and in a variety of sizes. Customers were pissed that everything was always in one specific size and almost never available. So quickly got to know our customers, or I guess over time got to know our customers much better, and realized that the vintage or retro angle of the brand was just one dimension of the multifaceted lives, the lifestyle of our customers. And so while the vintage aesthetic was appealing to her, that was just one aspect of her closet. So to gain share of closet, we went out and started sourcing other remarkable pieces that the designers were carrying, things that we thought that our customers would like. And so by focusing on her needs holistically, we broadened the assortment that we were bringing to the marketplace, and then through that, we're able to tap into a much broader audience of customers as well. You can see here on the left an example of our more literal retro creative, and our core customers as well as the broader audience of customers like this image. And one key lesson is that what customers click on and what brings them in is not necessarily what they buy. The example on the right there is more where the brand is today, this new broader definition around remarkable, but you can see that it's still cohesive and part of the same overall brand experience. And so we've been able to hold on to that core while we branched into a much broader, more diverse customers, some of which are pictured here. So how do we do it? Let's talk about the process that we use that leveraged a unique blend of the art of fashion retailing and the science of scaling operations. So if you take a step back for a moment and imagine the landscape, the broad world of fashion, there are nearly infinite options. If you think about all of the combinations of colors, silhouettes, product categories, and details, it's overwhelming. So there's a real art to the work that Susan, my wife and creative founder, and her team of buyers do as they go out into the marketplace and use their intuition to filter the infinite to the finite. We then go out and we place bets on the items that we think our customers are going to like. And then let the initial sales and the likes and loves on those products really dictate what the hits are. We let the customers tell us, and then we aim to be the first retailer to go back to those designers or manufacturers and get those items back in stock, bring them back into production, or clear them out of any excess they might have. And this is quite different than the traditional fashion retail model in which retail buyers decide what the trends are going to be, typically a year out from market, produce very deeply into them, which gives them great margins. So as they sell through what they're able to sell through at full price, they then have some buffer to move through the rest at progressively deeper discounts and still be able to have a reasonably working business model. ModCloth has taken a very different approach. We're not trying to dictate to our customers what the fashion trends are. We think of the brand and the assortment as emerging from a conversation that we're having with our customer base. Our buyers aim to work very close to market, between 2 and 12 weeks out from the products being available for sale. They pay very close attention to what's performing in those initial weeks. And because we're buying relatively shallow, we sell through the vast majority of the styles that we pick up at full price. We still have overstock. We place lots of bets that don't work, but the vast majority we're able to sell through. And through the fast response, using our analytical models, we get back into market on the stuff that's taking off quickly. This process was particularly difficult early on. So stepping back in time to 2009, ModCloth was much smaller. There were a lot of designs that our buying team would go to a designer showroom, shop their line, pick up styles, and the designers wouldn't take those items into production because our customers had relatively unique tastes, and other retail buyers weren't picking up those styles, so they weren't getting produced. So we decided to partner with those designers to take those styles and put them up in front of our customer base for voting. Get their votes, get their comments, figure out which of the styles we should make what for us was a pretty significant investment to take those items and take them into production ourselves, make that initial buy big enough for them to produce. So we let the customers pick or skip and provide comments. This is the 834th style that we put through the program. And it was a flop. So 11% of customers thought that we should pick it up. So we thought we were going to kill the style, but as we paid attention to the over 200 comments, a very clear pattern emerged that the customers hated the ruffles. So we realized that the ruffles were relatively easy to take out. We went to one of our graphic designers. She photoshopped it out, put the style back up for voting, and lo and behold, the vote swung, and with a 63% pick rate, which is quite good, we were able to take the item into production and move through it at really high volume. So Be the Buyer has been really successful. Historically, Be the Buyer products sell more than twice as well as the average product we pick up on the site. And it draws in our high lifetime value customers, but it also increases the level of engagement and loyalty that we have with those customers. And so the Be the Buyer engaged users have a lifetime value 3 times greater than average. And this concept of breaking down problems, testing and learning is something that we try to apply pervasively throughout the business. These lean principles really pave the way for great ideas in our user experience development as well. So we take all of our engineers and product managers and designers and project managers, and we put them all together into cross-functional teams that we call spheres. And each sphere has a distinct mission to improve the experience for ModCloth or ModCloth's employees. We have back-end spheres as well. They take ideas from their own brainstorms, from customers, from peers within the company, use their intuition to prioritize that backlog, then use a relatively simple checklist to sanity check ideas before putting them into discovery, in which we'll mock them up, prototype them, roll them out to a small percentage of the audience. If it works, we'll then develop it for scale and roll it out to the full audience. And then optimize and iterate from there, and ideas flow from that back into the idea backlog. So I'd love to show you how that's played out at ModCloth with an example. So ModCloth has an experience that we call the Style Gallery, where customers are able to shop outfits from other members of the community. This started very early in a community we created on Flickr, where customers could simply tag their photos as ModCloth and then shop other outfits from other members of the community. Really great high-quality photos, so we saw an opportunity to bring this into the ModCloth experience and make it shoppable, and really make it easier for customers to inspire each other and admire other members of the community. And as a distinct difference from Flickr, make it easy to shop. So as we do with many things we roll out on ModCloth, we started with a relatively minimum viable solution that you can see here on the left, and realized that customers didn't understand that the photos were clickable. So we had to add some visual cues that you can see here on the right. And we've iterated further from there. But that's one great example of the initial rollout, easy learning from the data, and then improvement. When we rolled it out into our mobile experience, and for context, ModCloth's traffic is roughly 60% on mobile these days. When we initially rolled out the Style Gallery, we thought that the blog was the right analogy for the Style Gallery, and that customers would really appreciate seeing full-width images that they would scroll through. But through testing and learning, we quickly figured out that she responded much better to a grid, which was more familiar to some other experiences that she was using on her phone. And it enabled her to scroll through the images much faster, find the ones that were appealing to her, click into them, and shop them. This also led to a much higher click-through rate, which took her into the shopping experience. The increased adoption that we got from an ever-improving mobile experience, which brought in a much greater volume of photos into the experience, let us integrate all those photos back into our core product pages across desktop, tablet, laptops as well, which enriched the whole experience across all platforms. So we've had over 20,000 photo submissions today. We have really high engagement from our users. About 78% of our products have reviews. About 58% of them have detailed body measurements. Customers are interested in just helping other members of the community find styles that are going to work for them. And then users that engage with the Style Gallery have a 50% higher conversion than the site average. So another fun, simple example that we did recently is we have much higher conversion on our tablet experience, and we thought, one of the team members had the idea that this was really because the images were higher resolution on tablet. So we went back to our desktop experience and went from 5 products across in our grid to 4 and increased the resolution. And I can't show the numbers, but it was a significant increase in conversion when we did that. Relatively simple change. OK, so a few takeaways. ModCloth has been able to build a really successful business with a really high degree of passionate engagement from our users through this virtuous cycle where we make it easier and easier for her to engage, influence the experience. We use the data that we gain from that to personalize it and make it better. That leads to great NPS scores, high stickiness, and then high word of mouth. Word of mouth has been a huge driver of our growth. We were able to start with a very tight niche, which gave us a distinct competitive advantage, and we still think of ourselves as a niche player to some degree. We're focused on a specific community of customers and serving them better than any other player in the marketplace. Unfortunately, it was also a fundraising disadvantage since investors never took us seriously, and to this day, it's still a challenge. They believe that we're too tight of a lifestyle and that it could never get to a $100 million business, let alone continue to grow in the way that we are. But that niche focus plus an iterative process of expansion has enabled us to reach really significant scale. And by applying lean principles pervasively, but really letting our creative leaders and intuition drive a lot of what we do on the forefront, really drive the experiments that we run, and then supporting that with analytics to course correct, we've been able to scale in the way that we have. So I think we just have a couple minutes for Q&A. Happy to take some questions. Sure. Sure. Are you working toward creating your own products as well? So the essence of the question is how we've been able to build a proprietary selection and have a really unique assortment on ModCloth. And we do it through a combination of scouring the globe to find designers that other retailers aren't picking up, negotiating for exclusivity on styles with designers, doing our own private label, both through relationships with wholesalers and through our own vertical private label development. And the very specific curation that we do. So a large number of our products can be found elsewhere on the internet, but never are they pulled together in such a rich experience, which gives us a huge advantage. We aim to be the best experience for our customer base.
Did you face any challenges when trying to accept payment on your website or through your mobile application?
So did we face challenges accepting payments through our site and apps? I would say that it was more of a challenge earlier on where we had to put more emphasis on trusted logos like Norton and that kind of thing. It's not really a challenge these days. Because our customers have really grown up with the internet, they're very accustomed to purchasing online. Yes.
If you would, tell us about the conversation that led to the style gallery. So I can imagine you were thinking, should we do ModCloth for men? Should we do ModCloth for kids? Should we do ModCloth for home decor? But you, in terms of expansion, and then you went to the gallery concept, the shop your users closet concept. Is that the first of potential future expansions? Why that one versus maybe others you've been thinking about or that were right there for additional expansion?
Sure. So how and why did we decide to invest in the style gallery and the social experience versus branching out into, say, other brands? I'd say that for us, it was a really natural extension of being extremely customer-centric to create these experiences where our customers are able to interact with us and other members of the community in a way that they're not able to on other fashion retailers. So we saw it as a really great differentiator and also a way to make the shopping experience much better for her. So we think of ModCloth not just as a retail destination, but as a form of entertainment. And we're not aiming to convert every user when they come to ModCloth. We provide a really diverse set of content, and we think of all of our products as pieces of content. And so making the experience richer by bringing in more user content and making it easier for her to participate was a natural extension of the philosophy and strategy of the business. Sure.
You mentioned that the style gallery has a 50% uptick in conversion. I'm wondering whether that has anything to do with the photos, because you've got the in-context photos on the style gallery versus the photos in a white background on the main ModCloth site. Have you tested exactly what it is that makes it a 50% uptick?
So the question is why do we believe that the style gallery is driving a lift in conversion? And we believe that it has to do with customers' desire to get a better feel for how a product is going to look and feel on a real human body. Customers tend to distrust model photography, and it's hard to gauge with mannequin photography, and we've had a long-standing unmet customer need that we've heard over and over again to see the products on women that look like them. And while in any given product, we can't guarantee that there's going to be a customer photo that looks like you, the authenticity of it, I think, has a big impact. And it also helps her see new ways to wear our fashion. So you get a huge diversity of outfits that are pulled together with the same product within the style gallery. So I think that's influences. OK, well, we're out of time. Thanks for having me, everyone. Good luck.